Recording in progress.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the October 23rd, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. I'm First Selectman Colin Mall. I'm going to call this meeting to order. If everyone would stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, I'll just do a quick roll call and point out that Selectman Mahoney is on Zoom, Selectman Hill is absent, and Selectman Harrington and Shivitz are present. So I will open the floor to public comment. We'll start in the room and then we'll move to Zoom. Just raise your hand and please state your name and address for the record. And we'll start with Ms. Quinn.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Oops, I'm supposed to press my button.
You may have to hold it.
I'm going to have to hold it.
So hold
If
it down
turns
till it
green,
turns
I turn
green.
it on. We're green. I think we're good. Okay. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to give you my comments. My name is Kristen Kling, and I live at 7 Strathmore Lane. I'm a graduate of Suffield High School, and I'm now on the faculty in the psychology department in UConn at Storrs. My purpose in speaking tonight is to urge you to place Dr. Fred Schweitzer on the Library Commission. Dr. Schweitzer has had a distinguished career at the University of Hartford. While there, Dr. Schweitzer has been repeatedly recognized for excellence in teaching and has served in numerous leadership roles, including Associate Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs. His decades of experience as an educator and a leader on a college campus has given Dr. Schweitzer an understanding of the importance of libraries to the community and an understanding of the complex issues that may come before the Library Commission. His commitment to the town of Suffield is evident in his work as a board member on the Suffield Greater Together Community Fund and his service on the Juvenile Review Board. Before closing, I would like to address a disturbing trend that is preventing Suffield from reaching its true potential. This problem can be described as partisanship before progress. For those of you who are watching who may be unaware, this is the third time that the Democratic Town Committee has put Dr. Schweitzer forth for the Library Commission. We selected him because of his stellar credentials and his commitment to Suffield. I am concerned that Dr. Schweitzer's nomination will not get the consideration it deserves because the DTC has put forth his name. I urge the Board of Selectmen members to put partisanship aside and focus on what is best for Suffield. Dr. Schweitzer's credentials would be recognized by anyone as impeccable, and he would undoubtedly be an asset to the Library Commission. On a final note, I am asking that the Board of Selectmen read out loud and into the record any and all communication that they have received about this vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment in the room? Ms. Cornish?
Yes, thank you.
Just 1 second, we need to get you a mic.
I'm sorry?
We need to get you a mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mic.
Thanks, sure. Thank you, Annie Hornish, 864 Thrall Avenue. I'm just getting some texts from people saying they can't hear, the sound is dead on Zoom, just so you know. And I'm also would like to echo what was just said about Dr. Schweitzer. Many people support him strongly, and please allow him to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. It could be because my mic keeps dying, so can you guys hear me on Zoom, Jerry? Jerry, can you hear me on Zoom?
Jerry's hand is raised.
Yeah, I think he's open now.
But his mic is open. He can speak.
So I don't know if they can actually hear us. You want to send him a message?
Jerry, can you hear us?
Okay, now I can hear you. The audio is going in and out.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm just going to have to make this press down. Is there anybody else in the room for public comment? Mr. Gilmartin, if you could just state your name and address for the record.
I'd like to hand out copies of this letter and read it into the record.
Okay,
For the
just make sure you have a
selectmen.
mic, please.
Board of Selectmen, I'm requesting this letter be read into the record to address misinformation and comments made by Selectman Shavitz pertaining to my appointment at the September 4th meeting where I was appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Shavitz stated that when I was chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the commission approved a permit for the Cannon Sand Pit, and then I subsequently resigned and purchased the property. By doing so, he questioned my integrity and ethics. Minutes of the meeting also state Mr. Shavitz accused me of questionable dealings as it related to this matter while I was chairman. Please be advised, I left the Planning and Zoning Commission in November of 2007. The permit for the Cannon Sand Pit was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission in 2017. I owned a membership interest in Lake Road Materials, LLC, which purchased the sand pit in 2017, 10 years later. Facts are stubborn things. Mr. Shavitz would be well advised to ascertain the facts before making intemperate public comments. Thank you for allowing me to correct the record. And I would add, Mr. Shavitz owes me an apology.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment in the room? Could you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Hello, I'm Sandra Janik, 380 Prospect Street. And I would just like to also echo the comments that were made before regarding the library position, the library commission. I feel Dr. Schweitzer is just an excellent candidate. He has been put forward, I believe this is his third time. And I'd also like to point out that Tess McCool, who is also eminently qualified, who has, she has also put her name forward again. This is her third time. Both of these people are they have just impeccable credentials, and they have served our community well. Dr. Schweitzer is here on Zoom. Ms. McCool is here in person. If you have any questions about their abilities to do this and their ability to be on this commission and serve our community, I would like you very much just to ask them. They're both here and available. Otherwise, I just really would like you to really consider putting them on, putting one of them on. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the room? If you could just state your name and address for the record. Chris, can you give me a different mic, please? Just keep shutting it off. It's red.
Thank you. Are you good?
You're good, you're good, yeah.
Okay. Deborah Dudak, 315 Prospect Street. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight and to be here. I'm here to express my support for Tess McCool to fill the vacant position on the Library Commission. I've known Tess for many, many years and have always found her to be an incredible advocate for children and a champion for everything that libraries stand for. And I know you have a resume and have reviewed her impressive credentials, which include holding a master's degree in library science. She's taught as a high school English teacher for 12 years and as a high school librarian for 13 years. And I'm thrilled that she is now working at Suffield High School as of this year. She has expert knowledge of libraries and aspects important to libraries, and she would be a tremendous asset to the Library Commission. I'm also pleased to see that Dr. Fred Schweitzer expressed interest as well, and do thank the DTC for endorsing him for the position. As I close, I do want to say that I believe it's important for our elected leaders to consider viewpoints other than their own, as well as find common ground and collaborate. And tonight you're presented with such an opportunity to do just that. Diversity and viewpoints make our community stronger, and I do look forward to your decision tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment in the room? Okay.
I'm
You
sorry.
already had your hands up.
May I speak really briefly? I'm sorry.
You-
Thank
one,
you.
yeah.
Annie Hornish, Thrall
Need a
Avenue. I'm sorry. Annie Hornish, Thrall Avenue. There was only one part that was cut out of the comments here. It was the last half of Kristen Kling's comments. I'd like to ask that she be allowed to read that, so it's part of the audio record in the town. It's the only part that I'm texting people that was cut off. May she read her second half of her testimony that was cut off?
So I don't know what the second half was.
She was cut off, as soon as she said the word partisanship, it went dead and no one could hear her. I'm wondering if that could be reread so it's part of the audio record for the town.
Yeah, we'll let you speak,
Thank you very much.
just for the record.
Yeah, thank you. I think I
you have to
wasn't
hold it.
holding it, yeah, okay. So, the second half is, before closing, I would like to address a disturbing trend that is preventing Suffield from reaching its true potential. This problem can be described as partisanship before progress. For those of you who are watching, who may be unaware, this is the third time.
If Ms. Kling is reading her statement, I certainly cannot hear it.
You can hear it, I've got a green light.
Why don't you take another mic, maybe?
How about two?
I know you can talk louder
Yeah,
than that.
it was green.
If you could do
Try it again.
a test,
Yeah.
just do a quick test, please.
How about, is now good?
Yes.
How about stereo?
You're good.
Just kidding, okay. So, thank you for this opportunity. Before closing, I would like to address a
I
disturbing.
lost her again.
Is it possible
Oh.
location?
Don't
Yeah,
hold the button, just click it till it turns green.
That's what I did before.
Move your finger so you don't accidentally close it.
Okay, I teach in front of 250 people, and this is like my worst nightmare, so, how about now? Am I good?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I appreciate that, thank you. So, for I think the fourth time before closing, I would like to address a disturbing trend that is preventing Suffield from reaching its true potential. This problem can be described as partisanship before progress. For those of you watching who may be unaware, this is the third time that the Democratic Town Committee has put Dr. Schweitzer forth for the Library Commission. We selected him because of his stellar credentials and his commitment to Suffield. I am concerned that Dr. Schweitzer's nomination will not get the consideration it deserves because the DTC has put forth his name. I urge the Board of Selectmen members to put partisanship aside and focus on what is best for Suffield. Dr. Schweitzer's credentials would be recognized by anyone as impeccable, and he would undoubtedly be an asset to the Library Commission. On a final note, I am asking that the Board of Selectmen read out loud and into the record any and all communication that they have received about this vote. And I appreciate the opportunity to read that into the record. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to Zoom. Is there any public comment on Zoom? I see Dr. Christina Hallett, your hand raised.
She's been asked to unmute, so.
Ms. Hallett, can you unmute, please?
Sorry, I didn't mean to raise my hand if it was raised.
All right, is there any other public comment on Zoom? All right, seeing none, we will move on to item number 3, approval of the minutes from the October 9th, 2024, regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
This is Kathy Harrington. I would move that they be adopted as drafted.
I actually have an edit,
Oh my gosh.
so. Well, I usually she finds them all, but just under Selectmen updates, permanent building commission wrap-up says they PPC should, it should be the PPC.
I
Should
let
be
you
that.
have that one.
Yeah, I figured.
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment.
That keeps going off. All right, the motion has been made. Is there any?
I just like a comment on the minutes. I just thought the last meeting we had between the finance board and our board of selectmen, the way you allowed everybody to ask questions was very helpful. I think everybody was able to put forth their thinking on it and raise some good questions, and I appreciated the opportunity that everybody had that chance.
Appreciate that, thank you. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Item number 4 is discussion and approval to appoint a member to the Kent Memorial Library Commission to fill the remainder of Michelle Kennard's term through November 30th, 2025. I will point out that I did send you guys correspondence, emails from residents in support of candidates like Fred Switzer. I'm not going to read them because I already sent them to you.
Alan, can you speak directly into the microphone?
Yeah,
Please.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Selectman Mahoney, just let me know if I cut out too, because my mic keeps going on and off.
Charlie,
All right, so I'm just pointing out that we did receive correspondence from residents in support for Fred Switzer. I did send them to you. I'm not going to read them, but you guys did receive them. And at this point, I will open up the floor for discussion.
I'd like to make a nomination of Fred Schweitzer to the Library Commission.
Do you want to make that a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Fred Schweitzer to the Library Commission.
All right, the motion has been made. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, besides what was said this evening, I'd also like to add, I've known Fred probably 20 years or so. He and I served on the Juvenile Review Board together, and one of the aspects that didn't come up tonight in discussing that, those can be very difficult situations, and Fred was chairman for many years of it. And
Mel, I'm going to ask you to speak directly into the microphone.
Sorry. Can you hear me now, Jerry?
Yes, you have to be right on top of the microphone or we're not able to hear it.
Okay.
And it's not getting recorded unless you're right on top of that microphone.
So this
Okay.
keeps shutting off. You just have to keep an eye and make sure it's green.
Okay. I just want to say that I've known Fred for many years, and that he and I both served on the Juvenile Review Board, and that can be a very difficult situation at times, and as chairman, Fred was able to handle some difficult situations and to work out reasonable solutions with families as well as the students. In addition, Fred was twice the moderator at political debates that we held in town for various elections going back a number of years, and he was able to handle that and handle the crowd. Look at his credentials, distinctive. I have come forward since I've been on the board, resounding credentials. His work at the university and community, he's also a foundation for the town. It would just be an opportunity for character to allow us to move.
Is there action? All the vote? All the
Aye.
Opposed?
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 1 to 3.
I move that we appoint to the library committee.
All right, any discussion?
I'd like to credentials, and I didn't see library. I've known Ann for many years in terms of qualification compared to who have backgrounds and interest of the commission.
Could you just point out in the former commission, please?
It has all of a sudden become, in terms of its a political,
Please speak directly or else clear to what you're saying.
Basically, I think
diversity on the library commission is to add people who have different backgrounds, very unique background candidate, experience with the library according, and does anything else that has been involved with the library, our past post. And I have somebody on there, some thought is you compared to this. Comes from.
so.
I would just point out that she has utilized, she's familiar with the like to become a part of going forward. That there's, and that we have a fine group of people serving on the library between Dr. Swakool and these are all through a of the library some months ago. The person who just stepped down, a Republican, someone from that same, I would to appointing either Dr. Sewell if we had a tenant who is stepping, not the case. That's my position.
Well, if I could understand if a Democrat steps down, we'll put a Democrat out. There are five down there, so the odds aren't.
Our discussion, any diversity, so the former, this commission, and then is more, if we're looking at each, genders, what is your definition of diversity beyond what you just gave me? Does just background?
You should have people who have different, and someone who's higher level, there's no one else that has that experience at this time.
I would argue that's on there. Claire Kowalik on there, she was a Hispanic and is still, Michael Alexopoulos is still, there is experience, backgrounds. You can't argue that people, not everybody has a different background. It's diverse.
Well, using it, everybody does have see different people. Interesting that you only meant to be Democrats. Diversity with the Republicans.
You use your definition of diversity, all have different backgrounds.
Okay.
Kathy Harrington, I would just also mention that Mr. resumes, and I also believe something entirely different. She says that she's raised her family here, that she hand shop and for cancer patients and in the library programs and wants to be more involved. Is a diverse background that she would members on there. Mr. Schweitzer, Ms. McCool wouldn't be great. We are lucky to have three great. I just personally think Ms. Bracci brings something that we didn't, and I would be voting.
Your partisanship, and diversity, all viewpoints, but I look back, really was just a political movement over the action from the members, and I look at the committee, it doesn't seem like diversity, anything wrong with the group, that's their job, hiring the library.
No, I'm about the library director, but you're meant to change the motivated. So how does that thinking? And
Just-
every a Democrat, you voted, well, it's become political in the past.
Diversity by bringing Republican, Democrat commissions.
It's all done, basically.
It would be more diverse. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Motion carries 3. Number 5 is discussion Jackie Guzzi as a Foundation Commission through June. All right, the motion.
I would just mention Duzzy is one of, and he, I believe, is an independent alternate, is Ms. Guzzi had for a longer period, and so I'll be supporting him to a full member.
Thank you, Selectman Mahoney. For discussion. All right, hearing none, I'll call the vote. Aye.
All right.
Aye. Hearing none. All right, department updates from, he's here with us tonight, Alderman of the Fire Commission. Welcome, guys. I appreciate you guys taking the time to give us some updates. I mean, we do have a packet here. Unfortunately, don't have it, but afterwards.
And I would just, as he's making his guys, that the end, so not what it could be directly into the microphone, has the best capture your comments. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for having me. Pleasure to come and talk to you. It gives me great pride. Some statistics, followed by some of you have done, and then following this, questions I will make sure that I get to. Earlier tonight, the first selectman and chair, Paul Chris, the fire department has mutual aid tomorrow and assist in fighting the. Tomorrow, my members will meet at Station 1 and UTV efforts there. Statistics about my department, all member statistics, 628 in the department. 5 career firefighters, and we have 7. We are currently firefighters going through the application. That just includes 21 firefighters here in the town of. Once we go through the application, we'll be invited to attend on November 9th. 2 weeks later, there'll be whereabouts of 20, and following that, there'll be inviting applicants to be hired here in Suffield. Also are hiring part-time fire posting for that position that'll last for 2 weeks, along with the candidate on November 9th. Some department. January 1 of this year, we 3 calls. 12 of those have been working. We require all 12 of those 5 have automatic with neighboring communities and fire departments to respond for calls that sounds that they're gonna be spoken to building type of calls automatically. Again, we've had 12 working fires that have come into our town. On outbound sounds in the 6 times. Our busiest department is the first shift, which till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We've had 180. Our second business is 3 p.m. to where we've had 160. Our busiest days are Wednesdays, Thursdays. I would be as one of my captains here tonight. Captain Ron Carlson did all my fire and life safety. Captain Carlson, a good job, standing job. And I want to read to you a report about some of the things that for the town. On the August 6th, Suffield, most of our apparatus was a section of the event. Up in fire and life safety material, approximately 50, many coloring books, smoke detectors were Suffield residents. Suffield on the Green occurred and 8 items being offered to Suffield. 59 free were ordered by Suffield residents. 83 detectors were given out to Suffield residents. Request from an East Granby resident, Granby Fire Department. Measure activity over the 2 days. 100 bags of safety material, color change, glasses, and over 100 to adults. Of 121 to set up and take down the booth. Fire Prevention Week, which occurs through the 12th. One banner was hung houses. Materials for grades 1 were distributed to the school office to use in the classrooms. Fire Prevention Week posters from Spalding Elementary, Intermediate School buildings, and 15 posters. Fire Prevention Week brochures, school and the high school. Bundles of fire and light were distributed to 10 churches, stores, post office. Preschool and kindergarten visits occurred. Materials were, these include 200 for various preschools. Children received a total of materials and hats. Flash smoke trailer in the home, 3rd grade. October 15th. That was for the classroom sessions. On October 16th, the smoke trailer portion of the event was used. Students were given a brochure and graph paper to take home to discuss a home escape plan with their families. Also, I want to note that Captain Carlson provides the Captain's Corner that you all read every time the Suffield Observer comes out. It's a wealth of information, safety and fire, life safety information. Finally tonight, I want to talk about the packet of information that I provided to you before the meeting. At a previous meeting, we had talked about my desire to get fire service type of courses in the curriculum at the high school. Since then, a more formal program has been developed by the Connecticut Fire Commission on Fire Prevention and Control. It is called a Public Safety Pathway and Program of Study for Fire and EMS. I'll let you read this whole document at your leisure, but I want to hit a couple of broad strokes, if you don't mind. The statement from the Commission on Fire Prevention and Control, when it talks about this guidance document, the Connecticut Commission on Fire Prevention and Control, CFPC, actively collaborated with critical stakeholders to develop guidance for municipalities to establish a public safety education pathway within their communities. This ongoing initiative will provide your department, my department, with a comprehensive plan, allowing me to partner with my local Board of Education to establish or enhance a public safety pathway. The benefits of using this plan are numerous and include: it offers students targeted learning opportunities in areas of interest within the fire and emergency medical service, facilitating career exploration while in school. It provides an ideal framework for college-bound and non-college-bound students, offering possibilities for certification, such as emergency medical responder, EMR, emergency medical technician, EMT, firefighter 1, and the ability to earn college credit during high school. It also develops a career readiness skills among students. It gives a guidance on course sequence. And best of all, enhancing working relationships with the Commission and regional fire schools to boost career and volunteer fire service recruitment, which is critical in a combination department like the Suffield Fire Department. I've already spoken with Superintendent Matt Dunbar regarding this document when I first met Matt, when he first came to town. And I made it clear that this is an initiative that I'd like to see take place within the high school system. hopefully in the near future, that'll take place. Can I answer any questions that you may have?
Safe to say that's a good feeder program for your volunteer
Yes,
side?
sir, absolutely.
Thank you.
What's the age of cadets?
It is 14 to 18.
Do you have any idea how many go on to be firefighters?
I don't.
Paul, do you have any idea over the years?
Over the years, better than 50%, I would say. And they've been retained.
I can say that previous programs that I've been involved with, it was more than half of the cadets went on to be career firefighters, of which probably half went on to become chief fire officer somewhere.
Well, I'm assuming you see these classes as once, sorry. You didn't hear you. I assume you're seeing these courses then as one way to take cadets and give them an opportunity to expand their skills and hopefully go into a career in.
Yes, sir. Whether it's in the fire or emergency or EMS system, it's still gonna give them skills that's gonna help them later in life.
And one last thing, I worked with Edith for many years, and it really has made a difference in some families in terms of situations that come up, and Officer Carlson does an incredible job. In fact, the kids don't realize it's a man.
Right.
And he finishes it, and if you've ever experienced it, he dresses up as a woman, and
Right.
he plays that role very well. How do we finance that program?
That is a good question. It's budgeted through the building department. That comes from the fire marshal's budget, which is under the,
Fire
Good.
prevention.
pardon me?
It's under fire prevention.
Correct, yes. Yes.
Selectman Mahoney, do you have anything?
Yes, so first I wanted to recognize the chair of the fire commission who is attending, Mr. Christian. The other comment that I did want to touch on, the chief mentioned that he's in the process of evaluating candidates to fill positions in the department, and it sounded like if I understand correctly, we were down 3 positions. And so I would just offer some caution. There may be a temptation to fill positions, and I guess what I would just counsel you is make sure the people that you're making an offer to are the right people for the department to help you move the department forward. And if we have to go through the process a couple times to get all of those folks, so be it.
Yes, sir, so noted.
This is Kathy Harrington. I don't have a question, Chief, but I just wanted to say I think this is an excellent idea, and I'm really glad that you've already spoken with the superintendent, and I look forward to hearing developments and updates on it.
I would second that, Kathy. I think this is a great opportunity. I did have one other question I wrote down. You said you got part-time, what does that mean in terms of hours, or how do they get called?
Well, they will work inside the firehouse. They work 16 hours a week. We have that in our budget for this year. That'll help with manning that we are lacking right now. So that'll be a big assistance for us. They will respond with the career firefighter out of Station 1.
So there's shifts within the department that are only have one person on. The idea when we budgeted this last year was to add that, so we always had as many shifts covered by 2 men on.
Okay.
And Chief, just a few things from me. Just want to say I think you're doing a great job, by the way, since you've come on. You've certainly had a lot of things to correct and change, and I definitely see that stuff happening.
Thank you.
How's the mutual aid working out? I don't think I've ever seen mutual aid like this, ever.
Yeah. One of the things that I recognized right from the get-go when I started here as the fire chief was the need for more resources in a quicker fashion. I have good working relationships with all the surrounding chiefs. So I reached out to them, set up a plan, and implemented that plan. So far, it's working out fantastic. For example, everything east of North and South Grand Street, I get an engine from the Thompson Fire Department and a tower ladder from the Enfield Fire Department automatically on reports of a building fire or something that sounds like it's going to be a building fire, smoke in the building. Anything west of that, I get an engine from the Southwick Fire Department. Anything south of Mountain Road, I get a tower ladder from the East Granby Fire Department. This gives us a chance to get resources into the area, whether we need them or not, in a quicker fashion. That's going to provide a better chance of survival for our customers, the taxpayers, and it's going to provide a safer working environment for our firefighters.
So, how's it finding volunteers? Still struggling, or do you see it picking up a little bit?
No, we're struggling, but it's not germane to the Suffield Fire Department.
Chief, if you could just make sure your microphone is turned on, please.
I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, finding volunteers, recruiting volunteers is a nationwide problem in the volunteer fire department. I talked to peers across the state, and they're in the same problem, same predicament that we are. We are current, or at least I am currently trying to find new ways to recruit, and not only recruit, but once we have them, retain them. So I'm always trying to think outside the box. What could we be doing different than somebody else is doing? But it's a problem that is nationwide, unfortunately, in the volunteer fire departments.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this program even better that you guys are working on. So hopefully the Board of Education will help you implement that.
Absolutely. When I first spoke about this, I had gotten the idea from a chief friend of mine in the Windsor Fire Department. The town of Windsor has already implemented this long before this official guidance document came out from the Commission on Fire Prevention and Control. So now that this guidance document is out, it makes it more formalized. And this is something, like I said, I passed along to Superintendent Dunbar when we first met over the summer.
Overall, how do you think the department's been running since your time here?
There's a lot of,
A year?
just over a year.
Just over a year.
There's a lot of challenges with the department, but that's one of the beauties of the job for me. I'm proud of each and every one of the members that I have under my command. And I think that the townspeople should be proud of the department that they have. They put in an awful lot of effort in training, going to calls at all hours of the day and night, leaving family members, leaving family functions to serve the town of Suffield. So I, for one, am certainly proud and grateful for the members that I have. We are always working to get better every day, and we're always progressing forward.
Yeah, and I just wanted to reiterate how tough of a job you had coming in. I mean, you're holding people more accountable, daily job duties, a stronger community engagement, sounds like. And overall, I definitely see the change, so I want to say you've done a great job.
Well, thank you. What I've learned is leadership is very hard. Sometimes you have to make some very tough decisions, some very unpopular decisions. And you have to walk around most of the time with a target on your back. But that's what I signed up for. My North Star in the department's North Star is the service to our customers, the taxpayers and the visitors to our town. It's not about the comfort of our members in the department. It's not about the comfort of the members of our department. It's about service to the townspeople. And that'll be the North Star as long as I'm fire chief here.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just have one last question. You said there were 403 calls. Is that
Yes, sir.
average over the years?
Yes, there's no rhyme or reason how many calls we have within a year, within a month. I would say it's about average, yes, sir.
Anybody else before we move on?
All set.
I want to thank both of you for your time, and I appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. All right, gonna move on to item 7, which is department update from Director of Planning and Development and Engineering Liaison, Bill Hawkins, and he's here with us tonight. We'll get Bill a mic.
This one's flashing at me.
Yeah, sometimes you have to press it down
I think the battery's low.
frequently,
Yeah, they're all, the batteries are going.
On all of them?
Yeah.
so that might be the problem we're having tonight.
Yeah, I think they're,
Because I think he's using that one.
Yeah.
If you want to
Why don't we change out a few from the other ones while Bill talks on the one he has? All right, Bill, the floor is yours. Why don't you give us an update from your departments?
sure. Thank you, Colin. Good evening, everybody. Good to see you. So, I think you all know, but I work with a lot of different departments, building, conservation, assessor, public works, engineering, a whole bunch of folks. And so I thought I'd hit some of the highlights. Everybody's busy, there's a lot going on, but I think there's some interesting things to share tonight. So, with regard to economic development, you know, we have Chad Kozinkowski, he's our part-time economic development specialist, who's been with us since April of '23. The business community is getting to know him. We've had a couple visits with him. Chad's doing a great job, you know, in a part-time role for the town. Of note is the tax increment financing district grant that we've implemented. You know, Colin was a part of starting that up. You know, facade improvements, certain interior improvements to those properties. And so we've had 2 rounds. The second round closed on September 30th, but round 1 we had 18 participants. Round 2 was 5 participating businesses. So far, total payout of grant funds has been $233,569. So it's been very successful, I think. And you probably, some of the most notable projects, you can probably see Francesco's, they're putting in a patio, some outdoor dining. The Chestnut Oak building has a new front porch on it, so there's some of the more prominent ones. Thank you, Chris. There's been a lot of interior improvements as well, so the business community has really you know, accepted that. And, you know, as funds continue to build, we may offer it again, you know, depending on the interest. So that's been successful. Chad's done a great job meeting with those businesses, collecting all the information we need, getting me the payment requests, and it's been working well. So that's a good thing there. He also, this is kind of neat, the farm stand artist collaboration was an idea of his, which has been well received. So there's a number of farm stands, obviously in Suffield. He's matched those that wanted a new sign with a local artist, and we provided materials to the artists, and they've come up with some designs. Nothing is finished yet, but it's kind of a neat thing. So there'll be some new signs for some farm stands. We're trying to promote our agricultural businesses here in Suffield. So. There's business spotlights he has on the website, ribbon cuttings, some of you have attended those. He's been collaborating with the North Central Chamber of Commerce. We had a business after hours event here in July. So Chad's been doing a great job. Economic development's been rolling. So just wanted to make everyone aware of that. In terms of engineering and the liaison role that I have with our consultant town engineer, which is J.R. Russo and Associates, specifically Dana Steele, is the individual that we work with. And Dana's done a great job. When there are items that need fairly immediate attention, he's been available within a day to come to Suffield and meet with us. And that's not just with me. I know our Public Works Director with drainage concerns, road concerns, meets with him regularly, and his availability has been great given, you know, that he does this for Windsor Locks, Ellington, and then just consultant engineering for private clients and things. So, been very pleased with J.R. Russo and Associates. Some engineering projects of note, the Quarry Road Bridge, that's been a long time coming. We expect to go out to bid in January on that. And the idea is to have it completed in one construction season starting next spring of 2025. So we have Barton and LaJudas, our consultant engineer, the consultant that's the town is contracted to do the design and everything. We're right there. We're ready to go out to bid, so that will be happening. We had a bit of a delay with the Department of Agriculture. The neighboring properties preserve farmland. Even though the bridge, we needed some work to be done on a very small part near the brook, but we had to get an application to construct, and and that took us about 6 months, or else I think we would have been out to bid already. So, is what it is. We've gotten through that, and we're moving forward. Sidewalk project on Mapleton, we have 3 property owners that we're looking to get grading easements from. We've had a meeting 2 weeks ago with one. We think we can solve the solution or get a design solution for them. If we can get that sign off, the 2 other property owners are at least in talks with us. So that has been a very long time coming. Colin and I have talked ad nauseum about it, but not ready to give up on that one yet. I know it'd be a good project for the town, and we're trying to do what we can to get it going. If we can't get these sign-offs, though, the project will likely just not move forward unless we want to go down the road of taking property. I don't think there's a desire to do that. So we're still working on that one. There's 4 lot SIP projects. That's Local Transportation Capital Improvement Program, Windsor Locks Canal Trail, the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail, Bridge Street, and Kent Avenue sidewalk projects. Bridge Street and Kent Avenue survey is complete. We're starting design on Kent, and design is underway on the Bridge Street projects, and that was to add some sidewalk and to add bike lanes to the road and repave Bridge Street. Windsor Locks Canal Trail is to resurface. We're working with the town of Windsor Locks on that one. And then the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail would be repaving and fixing the fence and adding some benches and things like that. So J.R. Russo is working on that. Very slow going with these projects. They're either 2022 or 23 awards, so we're hoping to get at least the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail done next year. So we'll see. I'm sure you'll be meeting with Public Works. He can update you on roads and drainage, and now he's working with J.R. Russo on those items. We've been doing a lot of inspections on active projects and subdivisions. We've had some concerns with the construction on some of these and met with the developers. This Kings Meadow subdivision off of East Street. Suffield Chase is getting close to paving phase 2. So those are the big ones that are under construction. Let's see here. A couple of roads that were accepted a little over a year ago. We've done some inspections on those with our consultant engineer. We've released final maintenance bonds. That's Elaine Drive, Hidden Way, and Stonegate Lane. So all of those things our consultant engineers can help.
Could you repeat those streets again?
Yep, Elaine Drive, Hidden Way, and Stonegate Lane. So those are the high points on the engineering front, and then of course just the regulatory commission stuff, planning and zoning and conservation commission reviewing those applications, attending meetings, and so we've been keeping them busy. In terms of planning and zoning, there's some subdivision and zoning regulations. We'll be preparing some text amendments to address some outdated sections. Anything from sidewalks in our subdivision regulations, updating that to, there's some very old zoning regulations that either need to be removed or rewritten. I'll be working on that with the commission over the next couple of months. In terms of current applications, it's a little slow. There's no new single-family applications or subdivisions of note to really mention. However, there is a 32-unit phase 2 of the Eastwoods condominium project that is in front of conservation right now, and that will be coming to planning and zoning, I expect either in November or December, so we'll be dealing with that. The Planning and Zoning Commission just set a public hearing for November for a Buddhist teaching and meditation practice that wants to move into the building at 1380 Mountain Road, the former bank building in the West Suffield Center Village. So we'll be having a public hearing in November on that. That's interesting, that building's been vacant for a while. The owner bought it about a year ago. She's been making some improvements. There's a electric car charging station that she had put in there, if anyone's interested. And expected applications, I think it's going to be busy over the next few months with the Planning and Zoning Commission. The property's at 140, 156 South Main Street. It's the St. Joseph's Church. I know that the owner is working on plans for the property. We don't have anything submitted. I expect that it would be an housing application under Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-30G. And then off of Limerick Lane, the Madigan Circle, nothing submitted again on that. I'm not sure how far they are along with design, but the last meeting I had with the developer, they were also considering an affordable housing application under Connecticut General Statute 8-30G. So it could be busy in terms of those kinds of applications with the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then just other items I work on, open space farmland preservation. We preserved 3 farms in the last year. The Schmiel Farm on Hill Street, Najeka Farm at the corner of Halliday and Blossom Street, and then the Gagliardi Farm on East Street North. Total cost to the town was only $61,000 for all of those properties. The state paid the whole freight for Najeka and Gagliardi. We just paid for surveys on those. So it's been an active year. We have 2 properties in the pipeline. One is expecting an offer soon from the Department of Agriculture. That's about 50 acres. And then there's about a 60-acre farm. We haven't done appraisals yet, but they've submitted an application, and the Department of Ag's doing some due diligence. So that's farmland preservation. Zoning enforcement, Jim Taylor, he's always busy. If it's not enforcement, he also helps signing off on building permits. I don't have a lot to add there. He's dealing with some enforcement issues, as he always does. So he's part-time, but he does a good job for us. He also processes ZBA applications. There hasn't been any in a while, but Jim's there doing some good work. And then GIS, I just mentioned, I know I'm on the next item to talk a little bit about this, but with Lisa Trace, our assessor here, she helps with the GIS program. We've got a new version, if you've been to the website, version 2 they call it. It's caused some, I guess, frustration with measurement tools and just getting people up to speed with the new version, but overall it's a good thing. So Lisa works with New England Geosystems. I work with them a little bit to keep our information up to date. And then we have my computer, I have ArcMap, so I can internally make maps and things for the residents and departments. In terms of the community development block grant, I just mentioned this. This was a $2 million grant that we got for the Housing Authority. Total payout to date is just under $1.2 million. They started the project back in late winter and early spring, and they're looking to finish that up shortly, I would say, by November. There's a couple of change orders, a big one for some additional landscaping work at $373,000, and some additional paving at $68,000. And just to remind everybody, this was the main purpose of the project was to replace all of the split unit heat pumps on the buildings. That was the big cost. They wanted to add some paving for the buildings, gutters, downspouts, some plumbing, some concrete work. So that's been moving along very well. So hopefully that'll get wrapped up soon. And then lastly, I just mentioned another project that we're working on, solar project at the landfill. Just to mention, we did have 2 companies. One of them, EDF Renewables, terminated their option agreement. They had got interconnection costs that were not sustainable for the budget, so they kind of said we're not moving forward. However, we are working with Verigy, the other group, and they were going to put a solar array of less than 1 megawatt on the capped portion of the landfill. But we found out after further investigation that we knew we had approval to reopen the cells, but we didn't realize that it would be potentially reopened in the next 10 years. And so when you're talking about a 30 or 25 to 30 year lease, you don't want to have the panels on an area where you might open up the cell in about 10 years. So with our consultant, Kurt Malins, he worked very hard, because I wouldn't have even known where to start to try and get the location changed, because they had received approval through an RFP process with Eversource to place the panels on the landfill. So we had to make the case that the property to the north of the landfill, for all intents and purposes, is the landfill property. And they agreed. We had a lot of backup as to why the town bought those properties in the 90s. They agreed that essentially it's the same property. So Verigy is working on a design to move their solar array to the north of the transfer station. And this will also allow us to possibly get a better access road to the transfer station off of Mountain Road. And looking at lease payments, the reason we'd be doing this is so that we can get some lease payments out of it. And that was in the range of $50,000 to $65,000 a year for the Verigy project. So when that project started, people told me most of these do not get anywhere, and I can see why after dealing with some of these, the nuances of these programs in Eversource and the Ombudsman's office, and people, well, you gotta talk to this person, and Deep's like, no, it's incredible. But luckily we have Kurt Mayland, and it looks like we're gonna get something done there. So far so good, fingers crossed, but those are just some highlights of some of the things we're working on. I'm happy to answer any questions if you.
Thanks, Bill.
Sure.
Anyone have any questions?
So this is Kathy Harrington, so I don't start with a question, I just start with like a statement of like, what don't you do for the town, Bill? I feel like you do so much for us in such a variety, and you do it well, and I feel like you do such a great job. You're always thoroughly prepared and very helpful in all the commissions I've served with you, so thank you for your service to our town.
Thank you.
So many years, you're welcome. So there was one question about the farmland preservation. I remember from my years on ACE, there were years where, the state would, only pay a certain amount, and then they would,
Yeah.
like these two properties, you said they paid the bulk of it, we only had to do the appraisal.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any rhyme or reason to that?
I don't ask them a lot of questions about it. I don't want them to, think twice, but it's been interesting. I noticed the past, 3 or 4 years, I said, the town has money, we can pay up to 25%. And they're like, oh, it'd be great if you could just get the appraisals or the surveys. I'm not sure if they're just looking for more projects to spend the money that they have set aside for it. I think when this started, it's not that the state's not trying to stretch their dollars, but I think there was a lot less money for farmland preservation 20 years ago than there is now. So I know that they're busy down there, but even the 2 projects that we have that I mentioned that are, sort of in the pipeline, they've said if you can do appraisals and surveys on those, we're good. So I don't know if it's gonna always be that way, but the one, it's not really a downside, but when the town is contributing funding, I go before the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance and ultimately the town meeting, and that sort of gets the word out. So I feel like some of these things, like when I said, well, we preserved 3 farms, you probably weren't aware of 2 of them. It's been suggested I'd maybe put something in the Observer to let people know. But yeah, it's a good question. I haven't, really drilled down on it with them. I just thank them for their participation.
That's because I remember a few years ago, they had kind of stopped that, and they were
Mhm.
looking for more like contribution from the town, and so we were, and so it's just interesting to me, because like you said, I wasn't aware that we had some that went through.
Yeah.
And I think the suggestion you got to put it in the Observer, or to publish it more, even also on perhaps the town webpage or
Mm.
something like that, I think is great, so that the residents know. So keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything you don't do in town?
I don't do the assessment.
I had a question. Every year, the state does bonding, and we've applied over the years. Is there anything in the pipeline that you're thinking about applying for?
For bonding from the state, one project that always is sort of in the background is extending utilities on South Street or Route 75 down towards the Windsor Locks line to open up more land for economic development purposes. Years ago, when we talked to the state about getting more funding, because we did receive some money to extend them where they are now, to the tune of about $1 million. They said, well, you show us progress on the lots that you have and we'll consider it. But, there's properties further south that could potentially be developed for economic development purposes.
You're talking towards Windsor Locks.
Yeah. And
We did, when Elaine O'Brien was legislature, she got somebody for that.
That was, yeah, to bring it where the
Right.
utilities are now. But that's one project that comes to mind in terms of state bonding. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what else.
And I'm not sure that it's your office, it came up at an earlier meeting last month or so, about, because of the flooding that happened in Connecticut, one of the problems was the flood, people had trouble with insurance because the flood maps weren't covering people. And then apparently our flood maps are not current, which I think is true for most of the state.
Yeah.
Is there any effort to update some of those?
You know, the flood maps are FEMA's product, the flood insurance rate maps. I can tell you they have recently updated the flood maps for the Farmington River watershed, which covers the very west part of Suffield, around the lakes and a little bit further down Mountain Road. And those are gonna be effective this year, I think. But the rest of the flood maps, I think, are last updated in 2008. And it's a good question. I'm not sure what the town, I could look into it. I'm not sure what influence towns have to move FEMA on that sort of thing.
That might be a nice article along with, especially in West Suffield, they'd probably appreciate knowing that.
Got anything else?
No.
All right, Selectman Mahoney?
No, I'd just like to say thanks, Bill, very nice job.
Thank you.
I echo everyone's comments, but I always tell you that anyways.
Appreciate it.
So thank you for your time here. I'll move to the next item because you're part of it. So discussion and approval to waive the bid and purchase policy to allow any geosystems update planimetric data on GIS. So Bill's here, Lisa Drees, the assessor's here, and I'll just turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Colin. For the record, Bill Hawkins, Director of Planning and Development. Lisa Trace, our assessor, who's here as well. So asking for the board to waive the policy on this, and I have a memo that I'm sure you have, I'll just summarize it. So the state recently released their aerial photographs that were taken in April of 2023. They did that for the entire state. I had been looking forward to this. They were highly anticipated because our most recent flyover was on in 2019. If you've ever used mostly this is for the GIS online GIS program, and if you've ever used it, you know how valuable the aerial photographs can be. You see what's on the ground, and we use it daily. So that's the main reason for it. The online GIS, New England Geosystems or NEGeo, they created that program and they maintain it for us. Lisa has the parcels updated annually, or twice a year?
Just
Annually. And they also maintain other data. And then I mentioned earlier that on my computer I have ArcMap, and I get the data as well so that I can use it to make maps internally. So because the aerial imagery is new, it makes sense to update our planimetric data. So they submitted a proposal, NEGeo did. The initial budget estimate's $4,650. And the purchase policy says we need 3 verbal quotes in for any purchase services between $2,500 and $10,000. So that's why I'm here. So what planimetric data is, it's everything on the ground really. Houses, other structures, pools, fences, driveways, roads, parking lots. Updating it can be cumbersome if you think about it. They have to compare the existing data with the 2023 flyover, find out what's changed, make those edits to the planimetric data. So it's only as useful as the data is accurate when it comes to GIS, so I think it's important to do this. And that's why the estimate that I provided you had sort of this initial budget ceiling. They're not quite sure how many changes they need to make, so they gave us that. They said $4,650. If we get close to that and we're not finished, they'll contact the town and then we'll have to make a decision. Either if you're going to stop or how much more are you going to get close. So I can understand why they would do that, but it's a little bit unusual. So New England Geo, they've been providing these services to the town since 2011. They're ready to move on the project if we get the go-ahead. And I just mentioned, getting bids for something like this, it'd be difficult, I think, for an apples to apples comparison, because whoever we talk to would need the data that New England Geo has, or I have some of it, but it's not the most up to date. If nothing else, they would have to, whatever they produce would have to be a format that New England Geo can use. So we'd be paying New England Geo for some part of this, so I'm not sure we'd get an apples to apples comparison. But I think just because they maintain all of our data anyway and the online viewer, it makes sense to use them. So that's why we're here asking for the waiver. In terms of the financial impact, as I mentioned, $4,650 is the estimate. Funds would come from the Planning and Zoning Department Consultant Services line item. Current balance of that is $6,908. No other board actions necessary. I have a recommended motion if the board's agreeable. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions. And I also attached the statement of services for New England Geosystems.
Thanks, Bill. I don't have any issues. Does anyone have any questions in regards to this?
Just a question.
Nope.
Outside of your office, who else uses the maps?
The ambulance, the fire department, the police, people who are looking, appraisers, realtors, you know,
Okay.
people who get property card data all the time.
I was just saying on my computer, ArcMap is, a program that I can use internally to make similar maps to what's online, but I can do a lot more with it.
So this is Kathy Harrington. I don't have a question. I think it makes sense. I think it's efficient and is the best way to go. So I'm going to make a motion that we waive the bid and purchase policy to use New England Geosystems for the planimetric data update project outlined in their statement of services dated September 23rd, 2024.
All right, the motion has been made. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thanks again for your time, guys.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, item number 9 is discussion and approval of the elections emergency contingency plan. I sent you guys some supporting documentation from the registrars, Laura Brady and Darlene Burrell, requesting that we approve the 2024 version of the emergency contingency plan from the 2020 plan. You received a document that had the highlights of changes. Basically, the plan is a management tool that prepares election staff and associated others. Basically, potential disruption to normal elections. We ran a drill this summer it was statewide using this plan, so I want to thank the registrars, Emergency Management Director John Spencer, Chief Cannon, Captain Palmer, Chief Cunningham, IT Director Becky Ossiger, DPW Director Lee Corbett. We're all part of that, and they would throw out a scenario and you look at the plan and that's what you're doing, and that just went on for about 8 hours, and they did a great job. So I didn't invite them here. It's pretty self-explanatory. They're busy with early voting for the next 2 weeks, so if anyone has any questions, I will try to entertain them.
I don't have any questions.
No, I don't have any question. I would just move that we approve the proposed elections emergency contingency plan as proposed.
All right, the motion has been made. Is there any discussion?
No, it makes sense for us to put together something. Who knows what could happen?
Yeah, I mean, it covers medical emergencies, absentee ballot, tampering, power outages, all of it. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Item number 10 is discussion of emergency services radio project. So we held our meeting, our joint Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance meeting last Tuesday to discuss the RFP, the project. For any members of the public that want to better understand the project, I would tell you to go on to Zoom or go on to our recorded session there, and you can listen in and get a better understanding of what the project is. My interpretation from the meeting was that nobody had any issues with the project. We need to get it done. The cost is kind of right where we figured it would be. I think we're all confident in the consultants and the work that the team did which is mainly our first responder units and the IT director. I'm confident with their work. I was a part of that group. And I just think we should move this forward next meeting to the Board of Finance for funding. And I also think we need to move the HVAC project, because we have to pay for half of it at the schools with the grant we received, which is about $1.4, $1.5 million. I think we should move that project to the Board of Finance at the next meeting, unless somebody has a reason why we shouldn't. And so I'll open the floor to discussion.
So this is Jerry Mahoney. I agree with your proposed plan.
Thank you.
Kathy Harrington, same, I agree.
Oh, I thought the proposal was one of the best I've seen. It was well done, well presented. Everybody got, as I said earlier, everybody got a chance to ask questions that they had. No, we need to go ahead. The only thing on the HVAC, we haven't gotten anything in writing that I recall.
They're working on it right now, the
Okay.
business manager and the facilities director.
Okay.
They're working with Carrier, who's the contractor, and trying to get the contract squared away. Inventory, they had some inventory issues to begin with, but it sounds like their initial timeline got shortened, or cut in
Okay.
half. Confident they'll get that done, because they have to have it done by 2025,
Okay.
which means they can only do the work during the summer of 2025 too. So it's a tight timeline, but
Okay.
we have the funds, we talked, bonding council was there, we understand the process. So should the Board of Finance determine that's the route they want to go, we know what we have to do on our end. I think we'll hold like a public hearing so that's somewhere, a public information meeting, just to let any residents know what exactly the project is, how it came to fruition, and how we got here.
Sounds good.
Any other discussion on this then? Selectman Mahoney?
I guess the only other thing that I would add is there was some discussion about getting a bid from the state, and although the state initially said that they were going to provide a bid in June, June became July, then it became September, and we still haven't heard from them. From where I sit, I don't think it's a good plan of action to take up a very significant, important business relationship when you're chasing the person or entity to provide a bid. That does not speak well of what things would be like downstream from that if you did engage in a business relationship with that entity. So I'm not in favor of waiting on them any longer.
I agree with you on that. I think I gave the example, it took 2 years to get a crosswalk sign, so I imagine what it takes to get a radio project. All right, well then, we will move on to item number 11, which is public comment. We'll start in the room. If you just raise your hand and state your name and address for the record. Ms. McCool. It should work now, you just press the button.
Okay, yep, it's working. Hi, Tess McCool, 10 Satola Road. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. First, I'd like to thank Deb for her kind words and her support for my nomination to be on the Library Commission. I also do believe that Fred Schweitzer would have made a phenomenal candidate. As someone who has attended every Library Commission meeting for over a year, both in person and when they've had it online, I've gained valuable insights into the unique challenges and opportunities facing our library. While I understand that library experience is not a prerequisite for serving on the commission, I do believe that my experience could have significantly benefited our public library and thus our community. My professional experience as a librarian and my specialized training regarding the law and libraries would offer a deep and unique understanding of along with my deep and unique understanding of library operations, such as budget allocation, collection development, library policy, and protecting our constitutionally protected right to intellectual freedom would have, again, benefited the commission and thus the community. I am disappointed to not have been selected once again. However, I do want to reaffirm my commitment to our library and to our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment in the room? Ms. Janik, could you just state your name
Sandra Janik, 380 Prospect Street. In my opinion, what you did here tonight to the Library Commission is a travesty. You had two extremely well-qualified candidates in front of you who have multiple professional accomplishments and experience to their name. The only thing they didn't have is that they didn't have an R or a Republican behind their name. One was a Democrat, one was unaffiliated. Instead, you decided that the criteria and the qualifications you felt most important for our library commission was being a grandmother who decided she wanted to start getting involved in library programs and going to the library. I applaud that. Believe me, I'm right there. I do the same thing. But that doesn't make her more qualified than, it's certainly, those qualifications don't come anywhere close to the qualifications that Dr. Schweitzer and Ms. McCool have. Colin, you said, you kept talking about diversity. You wanted diversity on the Library Commission. Well, right now, out of the 11 people you've got 2 Democrats, 6 Republicans, and 3 unaffiliated. And one of those unaffiliated is a very outspoken right-leaning Republican. So you've got 7-2, right? Excuse me. Let me add up here. 6, 7, 8, 9-2. That's what you're looking at. And out of the 11 that are still there, you've got, or counting the 5. I'm sorry. Go back to the 12 with Michelle Kennard who left. 5 of your 12 were homeschooled parents. I have nothing against homeschool parents, but I really think that's a pretty large, that's 46%, which is a high, 36%, which is a pretty high percentage of, that's not representative of our community, I don't believe. I don't think we have anywhere near that amount of homeschool families in our community, and I think that the view is very different, my own personal opinion. But I just don't think that you considered qualifications. I think you were looking strictly at party affiliation and political leanings. I don't think you considered the benefit to the library, not truly. Since your political movement, as you called it, you've done nothing, in my opinion, except move away from diversity. And I don't think you're doing our library any favors. That's my opinion. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment in the room? Is there any public comment on Zoom? Should you just raise your hand? I see one hand raised. Mr. Minor, could you just state your name and address for the record and then mute yourself, please?
Good evening, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yes.
This is Don Miner, 1855 Mapleton Avenue. This isn't controversial at all, I don't think, but I would encourage both the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance to move as quickly as possible on the radio project. We currently have serious gaps in the coverage, which does interfere with emergency response periodically. And adding the bonding has added a couple of extra steps to getting this done, but I think we need to figure out how we can move ahead as quickly as possible through the extra steps to be sure that gets done quickly.
Thank you. Just to correct, for the record, just the bonding actually won't add that much of an extra step. At our last meeting, they did say we could spend the money down before we went out to bond. And we are planning on moving this at the next meeting.
Excellent, thank you.
Is there any other public comment in the room or on Zoom? Okay, seeing none, I will move to the next agenda item, which is selectmen updates. So we have early election going on. I just want to give you guys some numbers. Out of 3 days, we have 887 people that voted. I think it's run very smoothly, and I want to thank the registrar and all the employees that are taking the time to work those long days. I want to say Veterans Day is in 3 weeks, and we have more programs and ceremonies than normal. We're going the second year with programs at every school, so I invite all the veterans to attend there. You'll find information on the town website and school website. We'll also be offering free lunch to the veterans on the Friday before at the Community Services Building. And then we will also be holding a ceremony on Veterans Day at the memorial, because we'll be unveiling the new monument that they've been working on. So I want to thank all those guys for the Veterans Commission or Committee. Thank them for all of their hard work and time and efforts. We have our trick-or-treating next Thursday. Due to early voting, we can't have it at Town Hall, so I just want to remind everyone, you can bring your kids out to the library, the Community Services Building, and we have acquired 20-plus businesses that.
There's a drop-down showing all the
Yeah, so
businesses that are gonna be.
we've acquired a bunch of local businesses in that immediate area that will participate so the kids can get out and trick-or-treat, so looking forward to that. And then,
That's from 3 to 5.
yeah, 3 to 5, so you can find details on the website. I just want to welcome back our new, or not. Back Ryan Seelig, he'll be joining us as our ACO again. Yeah, well, happy to have him.
Really?
Yes.
That's great.
So we're just working out minor details, but he'll be back.
Okay.
I want to remind residents to lock their cars and be vigilant, especially in the evenings. We've had a string of burglaries going on. Essentially, these groups are coming from the cities and, casing neighborhoods. So just be more vigilant. I know we're all sleeping in the middle of the night, but if you see a car that during the day that's, not normal in your neighborhood, call the police and we'll take a look out there in the evenings. We're gonna have an affordable housing discussion at the next meeting, so take a look at what Chairman Goff gave you from the Affordable Housing Committee, so we can start discussing next steps forward. And then, I wrote something here, but I can't read it, so. Does anyone else have anything to share?
This is Kathy Harrington. I just wanted to second your comments of thanking the registrar of voters for all the hard work that they've started with the early voting. And I just wanted to note that they had offered to be here tonight to talk to us about the emergency plan, even though they were working extra long hours and on the weekends. And we told them, thank you, but please, there's no reason for it. They're very dedicated, and I just really appreciate their work.
Yes.
I was also gonna say, at the rate they're going, that's almost 300 a day. I mean, and they're open for over another week and a half. It's a significant number of voters who could early register, or early vote, and it'd be interesting on election day, how many actually people then show up.
I can finally figure out what I wrote. So we did start the work on the crosswalk on Main Street. Finally, it's been staked out for like 3 months. We worked with the Trees for Suffield to ensure tree preservation, so they ended up funding $10,000 worth of landscaping work to properly cut the roots, maintain the trees moving forward. So it was a collaborative effort, and I appreciate what they're doing. Selectman Mahoney, do you have anything else to share?
Nothing further, thank you.
All right, well, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, thanks everyone, have a great night.
Thank you.
Are we going to have Chris scan anything?